Hello everyone, this is me, Dusty Circuit here, and welcome to my very first video on Asgard. And for those of you who don't know, this is the modded Minecraft survival server of Skade. And the pack is Feed the Beast Revelations 1.12. And this server has it opened in November of 2021. I don't know the exact date offhand, but I may add it in editing. But this has been way more. I was expecting the server to have a lot of teething pains, a lot of crashes, possibly some world resets. And we've had lots of crashes, but thankfully no world resets. Like, this is still the original world the server has when it first opened. And Blue has been talking about that's just one of the things about modded. Things can go from stable to unstable quickly, and often not often crashes can happen bad enough that would require a world reset to recover from. But thankfully that has not been the case. Alyssa, or the technical admin of Skade, has really put lots of effort into keeping the server going, and my hat's off to her, or to them. And this, thanks to their thanks to their efforts, the server's been a lot more stable than it could have been. And the purpose of this video is to just as an update as of what I've been up to on Asgard, and kind of a tour of my base. But before we do that, just want to go over briefly some of my history as regards to playing modded. I started playing modded Minecraft in around 2015 or so, and I've mostly been playing it on and off. Just whenever vanilla Minecraft gets boring, I play modded until modded gets boring for me, and then I just go back to vanilla. And really, the entire time I've been playing Minecraft from that point, I just play vanilla for a little bit, and for a lot. But then if I get burned out of vanilla, I go to modded, and if I get burned out of modded, if I get burned out of one, I go to the other. And just because of that, and being in the community of Skade, I've never had been burned out of Minecraft completely. I mean, that might go with me. I've been through times where I don't really have as much inspiration for builds, or I don't really have as much drive to play the game as I ought to, but to this day, I've never had any major burnout, like to the point of not wanting to play Minecraft at all. And I can thank Skade and the existence of modded Minecraft for that. And I started off playing modded, uh, largely playing from the Technic launcher. And I believe the first pack I played was it was Tekkit Classic. And I played in that pack, I believe, for a few months before I would, and then I moved on to, then I tried other mod packs, and then I played Sky Factory with Mod Killer, and we actually did play on a public server for that. That even as of recently, sometimes I still would go on, although that was before Asgard was a thing. And although for a lot of the time I have been playing modded, I have been having to uh, deal with the limitations of what my computer could handle, and thus I was rather limited to smaller mod packs. And usually, if I get bored of that mod pack, or if I want to play with new mods, rather than going to an entirely new mod pack, I would add mods to the mod pack that I'm already playing. And while that's not really advisable, as modded can be very unstable, for the most part, I haven't had many issues doing that, although and I haven't been entirely without issues. I have had some crashes, though mostly I attributed those to just my potato computer I was trying to play modded on at the time, which back then only had 8 gigs of RAM and 4 CPU cores, and even then it was a fairly old processor architecture. But then I upgraded. I was able to upgrade to 6 CPU cores and 16 gigs of RAM, and now I'm on 6 modern CPU cores and 12 threads and 32 gigs of RAM. But even then, modded still can be quite demanding. I mean, as you can see, I'm currently sitting at spawn at around 60, 70 FPS. And I'm just using 10 chunks because that is the maximum view distance that the server is set to. Although all things considered, it seems to run quite well. And though another thing is that the reason Skyblock was very popular for me is just because of how Sky Factory rather, why I actually played that mostly was due to it being a Skyblock world where you're literally just above a void. It is by nature very lightweight on your computer. And even though this is not my first time playing modded Minecraft, it is my very first time I actually get to play modded Minecraft with at least everyone unscathed who can run modded, which is still quite a few people. There are quite a few players who are on here, or that play on here, and it's definitely definitely quite the experience. And and this server is less, like, unlike Midgard, it's less about events and teams and all the work that goes into community farms and events and other such things. This server is more about just an area for us to play modded together. And modded just by nature is it's a lot more temperamental than vanilla. And for that reason, we don't have there are not very many plugins. I don't think, like, in fact I think there's no plugins on this server, well, except what is absolutely necessary to run the server. And I guess this is the point. This is the time in the video where I would go to my first base. But unfortunately, my first base that was actually a team base that I was in with Mod Killer and Super Draco. But unfortunately, that base has succumbed to an issue that has affected a probably quite infamous area in the previous community, but it also is a lot more severe and modded, where, well, basically this issue is where if one particular region has too much stuff in it, like, especially if you have more mods in an area, it's apparently there seems to be a limit that's baked into the game where that if that area is if it's exceeded, literally would cause the server to crash. And whenever those chunks are loaded, the server crashes. And let's just say the server was down for about a day or two, and Alyssa really had to put in a lot of hours to resolve the issue and even made some hard decisions. And although unfortunately that base just had to be dismantled for the sake of the server, because it was just that area just had too much in it. And it's unfortunate. I wish I could have showed you, I wish I could have recorded video of that base, but unfortunately I'm a bit too late to that, and that base has since been stripped out. So anyway, I can show you my current base. And at the time, at first I was kind of regretting splitting off from the community, from not community, but that base. Like, I was really kind of regretting my decision to kind of part ways, so to speak, but now I'm kind of happy I made that decision, or else, because if I didn't, I would have lost my base. At least now, I have a base still. Although Blue has strongly advised me to heed Alyssa's warnings and pretty much this pretty much the space would have to be spread apart. Like I'd have to take everything in this area and spread it apart so that one region is not too complicated, so to speak. But I've just been putting that off because this happened around the time I was working on the New Year's Eve, or I was helping build the New Year's Eve countdown, and rather than stop what I was doing with that, and tend to this problem, I just wanted to finish what I was doing over there. And since that problem occurred, I have done nothing to the space. I've pretty much just halted all of what I was doing here, and at this point I've just scrapped all my plans as far as building here. And my future plan is to, well, so I basically, and then this part of the base is my ME system. And this part of the base is my reactor for my power generation, and my energy storage. But in order to, is if that problem happens, I pretty much could lose all of my items, which would be pretty bad for me. I mean, I guess it would be fun to start over fresh, but then again, a lot of the stuff in modded is a lot harder to craft and get resources for than vanilla. Like very much, like a lot of people actually spend more time crafting than actually building stuff in modded. Like that's actually true. Although that's where the storage mods like applied energistics and refined storage come into play. Is they can free up time you would otherwise spend crafting all the stuff you have to craft in modded, and also dealing with the increased number of item types, as it's difficult enough to deal with in vanilla, let alone in your typical Feed the Beast style mod pack. And my plan for this area was that I was just going to keep building this. I was going to build this upwards, like as a tower, and this would be for my ME system. And I'm not really sure what I was going to do with this. Like I wanted to sort of make it look like a nuclear power plant, but this isn't really laid out the way a nuclear power plant would be in real life, because of the way that this stuff has to be laid out in order for it to be chunk loaded. If I turn on chunk borders, I have a world spike placed down in this chunk, which is, of course, if you don't know, that's how those are chunk loaders, and they chunk load a 3x3 area of chunks, so basically 9 chunks centered on the chunk that the world spike is placed in. So this and all of this area is being chunk loaded right now. And so I'm trying to when I build my areas, I'm trying to build more vertically rather than horizontally in order to facilitate chunk loading without with fewer world spikes. And though really the only things that I have to chunk load is my power, my power, my energy production, energy storage, and my ME system, or my main item storage and auto crafting. Because that would facilitate having, like, say if I have an Enderman Farm in the end, which I do also have, I can use I could use a flux network, which allows you to which is basically wireless power. So basically I can wirelessly power any farm I want, and even have, so I can basically wirelessly power my farms no matter where I am in the world. So, and I was prepared to adapt to life without chunk loading because Alyssa was making it really clear that there was a concern of theirs if too many areas are chunk loaded at once. But at least we actually have methods of chunk loading that are server friendly, which I'm quite thankful for. And so really with this build, it's more just function over form, though I tried to, as you can see, I tried to kind of make it look decent. And as you can see, for this build, I'm going for sort of industrial theme. And if we go to the ME system, you can see I was going for kind of futuristic theme. I feel it kind of suits what I really feel it suits the mod. And my plan was that I was going to build more areas. Like, say if I wanted to start another mod, like say Astral Sorcery, basically I would design a build around that mod. Like sort of have the theme of the build reflect the mod that it's built around. And yeah. But what's interesting about this reactor is I actually have you can see I'm using some redstone circuitry to actually as basically a way of throttling the reactor in response to how much energy how much power I'm actually using. So basically with this redstone receiver is going, there's a corresponding transmitter that's reading the energy core. And then that goes to here, and then these comparators with the blocks on the outside are basically an analog redstone wire. And all these on the inside are basically though they are comparators, but they're more specialized than that. They have they have a threshold where they turn on, but then when they turn on, they don't turn off until the signal drops below another threshold that is only defined when the comparator is on. And I basically just have 8 of those that are all going into this bundled cable. And then that goes into this, which basically I'm taking I'm taking each of those signals, combining them back into analog redstone, and then I'm subtracting enough signal strength so that this red coder actually can decode them back into this bundled cable. And why I'm doing that is I'm using those signals to control the power output of the reactor, and in addition to that also turn on different groups, different numbers of turbines depending on how much power output is requested. And just because I felt like building it, I've also and also because I felt like it would complete the build, I've also created a control room. And really what I was kind of going for, sort of what control rooms in nuclear power plants look like in real life, but I also decided to include these each of these displays, which this is the power output that the reactor is right now, and this is the capacity, the percentage of the energy core right now. And this in the middle is just the core temperature, and this bottom graph is core temperature, and each of these are the control rods. And this is all the redstone that makes it work. Which is really just I'm having these. I have a whole nother row of redstone ports, which is just for. This is just for the temperature gauge. And then I'm just taking some of the bundled cables from there. And one of them drives this. I believe the signal that is controlling the turbines goes to this display, and this display is its own thing entirely. And the control rod levels also drives this display here. And the temperature gauge basically goes from that upper level of redstone ports on the reactor. And these really, there's not really that much in the way of smarts to this. It's really just a dumb decoder that I've created that basically it's like it just displays a different number for every one of these signals that are on, and I've just hard coded which segments are on, which segments are off uh, using these null cells and buffer cells, which are part of the Project Red mod. And same thing for this, only a little bit more decoding is required. And that's really all I have to show because, as I've said, the starter base no longer exists. But this base does still exist, and I really wanted to just make this video before I proceed to take apart this base. And my future plans, what I'm planning to do is actually I'm planning on having 3 areas that are built entirely separately from one another. One being my reactor, one being my energy storage. And the reason I'm separating those two is just for peace of mind and like that my base is not going to cause issues for the server, and it allows me to do something that I think will be pretty cool that I will be showing off in a future video. But if it causes issues, I'm preparing to remove it, and and obviously my ME system will be its own area as well. I would like to chunk load all of them, but if I have to remove the chunk loaders, I will. But I'm hoping it will never come to that. But really, I've never had issues. It seems like all the server issues up to this point have just been relating to some mods and just some other. At least there have not been any server-wide issues caused by player builds, at least up until the loss of that base, thankfully. But really, when I was coming onto here, I was kind of half expecting there to be way worse issues than we've been having, and even a few world resets. But thankfully, it's really been better than it was expected. And I mean, as long as the server is going to be stable, I will continue to play on it. But even if it's unstable, I might take breaks, but I'm just like, no matter how many bases or I have to abandon due to server issues, I'm still happy that this server exists, and that I can, because it's because of the whole just because it's a safety issue, we're not allowed to invite our friends to servers, even if it's a server that we own, just because it's too big of a liability. There have been it's too big of a liability. It can just lead to issues that are outside of Blue and Alyssa's control, and it's a rule that we all have to respect. And even though it's kind of a big one for me, I respect it. But but that just meant that for a while I couldn't play modded with many of my friends. But finally, as of around November of 2021, I'm finally able to play modded with my friends, which I'll be forever grateful for. Anyway, this has been me, Dusty Circuit here. I've even though the tour has been rather short, I don't have that much to. Well, actually, I do have one more area that to show off. It's my Enderman Farm. Initially, this was just to farm Enderman and get XP or liquid XP, but I've recently added on more mob spawning. So like if I want to farm any mob I want, I can do that here. Although there's a few issues with this I'm yet to resolve. But even so, it's still a great mob farm. And yes, I went to the lengths to actually make a perimeter for this farm. Yeah, using the RF Tools builder as a quarry. And I guess in hindsight, I didn't have to because initially, because initially I just had a platform of endstone and then my automatic mob killing system, but then I converted this over to cursed earth, and it's way faster. And this seems to be backing up for some reason. I mean, these shouldn't be full. Let's turn it off for a little bit. Let's see if it can keep up if I turn it back on. Because these black hole units have very high storage capacity, that shouldn't be the problem. It seems like it's resolving itself. Good. And this down here is a wither farm, but not as in wither skeleton farm. This actually spawns in wither bosses automatically and kills them for nether stars, which is quite useful. Even more useful and modded than it is in vanilla. But anyway, that brings the end of this video. Although I do also have Also in this area I have the uh, personal nanobot beacons, which are what give me what's giving me night vision, speed, and all these effects I have here. And the reason they're jumping around like that is because I've made the decision to use multiple beacons rather than just one, because that would allow me to toggle certain effects on or off. And I eventually plan on setting that up in the new base. Anyway, I mean, this is the third time I've said this, but I don't have much else to talk about in this video, so thank you all for watching. This has been me, Dusty Circuit here. I don't know how many of these I'm not sure how many of these videos I'll be able to bring you, but I'll guess whenever I do progress updates on my base on Asgard, I'll make more videos. But anyway, thank you for watching. This has been me, Dusty Circuit here. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And be sure to click the notification bell to keep up to date with my latest content. Peace out.